Ecuador is $1,200 a month. Colombia is $1,400. Peru is $1,000. 3 countries, 3 price points, and none of them are quite what most Americans assume they're getting. That $1,000 number for Peru sounds like a bargain. But if you pick the wrong one for your situation, you'll either blow past your budget or land somewhere that doesn't fit how you actually want to live. So this ranks all 3 not by price, but by value. What does each dollar actually buy? Which one wins on healthcare? And which visa requirement could quietly disqualify you? By the end, you'll have a real line item budget for each country: rent, food, utilities, healthcare. The actual visa income requirements, including the one that jumped this year, and a clear profile for each, who it's right for, and who should look elsewhere. Every number is in the description source. No round figures pulled from the air. Number 3, Ecuador, specifically Cuenca, the colonial city at 8,500 feet in the Andes that's been on best retirement lists for 15 years running. Rent: a furnished 1-bedroom in El Centro, or the expat neighborhood, runs $400 to $550 a month. What you get for that is a colonial-era apartment with high ceilings and tile floors that would be a boutique hotel anywhere else. Groceries for a couple: $250 to $350 a month. A set lunch at a local spot, the almuerzo, is $2 to $3 for soup, a main juice, and dessert. Utilities run $60 to $90 because Ecuador subsidizes electricity. One honest note: Cuenca has occasionally had power rationing during droughts that cut hydroelectric output. Not constant, but real. Healthcare: private specialist consultations run $30 to $60, and insurance for a couple in their 60s runs $80 to $150 a month. Full monthly total for a couple, $900 to $1,300 all in. $1,200 is comfortable. Now, here's what changed in 2026. And most Ecuador videos haven't caught up. Ecuador's Jubilado retirement visa used to require $800 a month in pension income. That's the number that made Ecuador famous. It's now roughly $1,446 a month, an increase of about 45%. That changes the math. If your Social Security check is $1,200 a month with no pension on top, you no longer clear the Jubilado bar. You'd be looking at a different category or waiting until you draw more. If you have Social Security, plus a small pension, a teacher, a federal employee, a military retiree, you very likely still qualify. But the era of Ecuador on Social Security alone has ended. The trade-offs: it's genuinely one of the cheapest places in the Americas, dollarized so there's no currency risk, with a mature expat community. Against that, the visa jump: 8,500 feet of altitude that some people with heart or lung conditions genuinely feel, and limited English outside the expat bubble. Number 2, Colombia, and the city is Medellin. Rent in Laureles or Envigado, the local neighborhoods that are safe, livable, and a fraction of El Poblado prices, runs $500 to $800 for a furnished 1-bedroom. El Poblado, with the pools and rooftop bars, runs $900 to $1,400. The smart money goes to Laureles. Groceries, 3 to 400 a month. Almuerzo, $3 to $5. The metro is 50 cents a ride and goes almost everywhere that matters. So most retirees here don't own a car. Utilities, 80 to 120. Healthcare is where Medellin makes its case. Internationally accredited private hospitals, a cardiology consultation for $30 to $50, and insurance for a couple at $100 to $150 a month. The quality per dollar is exceptional. Full monthly total in Laureles or Envigado, $1,100 to $1,600, all in. So what does that extra $200 over Ecuador buy you? Climate first. Cuenca at 8,500 feet gets chilly at night, sometimes down to 50 degrees. Medellin at 5,200 sits between 62 and 82 every single day of the year. That's not nothing when you're deciding where you'll wake up every morning of your retirement. Flight access, second. Do. Medellin has direct flights from Miami, Atlanta, and New York. Ecuador usually means a connection. If you're going home for birthdays and holidays, that adds up. And community third, Medellin has one of the most established English-speaking expat networks in South America. On the visa, Colombia's Pensionado asks about $1,020 a month, 3 times the minimum wage. That's the most accessible bar of the 3, and most Social Security recipients clear it. The honest cons? Medellin's reputation still frightens people who haven't looked at current data. Homicides are down more than 80% in 15 years, but that requires updating a mental model. Spanish is genuinely required outside the main expat strip, and Cartagena, the coastal alternative, runs $1,700 to $2,200 for a couple on tourist market pricing. Number 1, and the surprise at the top, is Peru, specifically Lima, in Miraflores or San Isidro. This is the one American expat channels skip. Panama gets covered. Mexico gets covered. Peru gets left out. That gap is your opportunity. Rent. A furnished one-bedroom in Miraflores or San Isidro runs $450 to $650. These are safe, walkable, coastal neighborhoods with parks and restaurants, and the Pacific is visible from some apartments. For context, a $600 apartment there sits in a neighborhood that would cost several thousand a month in comparable coastal California. Food is where Peru wins in a way nothing else in this comparison can match. Lima is consistently ranked among the best food cities in the world, not in Latin America, in the world. Groceries for a couple, $200 to $300 a month. Almuerzo, $3 to $5. If food matters to you in retirement, Peru has no equal here. Transport is under $1 on the rapid transit buses, and taxi apps run $1 to $3 across Miraflores. Utilities, $60 to $90. Lima is at sea level, so there's no altitude and no heating or cooling premium. Healthcare. Solid private hospitals in the districts where expats actually live, specialist consultations at $25 to $45. Insurance for a couple at $70 to $120 a month. Not as deep a system as Medellin, but more than adequate for standard retirement needs. Full monthly total in Miraflores, $900 to $1,300 all in. $1,000 is achievable on the visa. Peru's temporary residency asks for roughly $1,340 a month in income, or about $22,000 in savings. That's a middle ground below Ecuador's new bar, above Colombia's. As with all of these, consulates apply the rules with real discretion, and the figures move. So treat this as a planning baseline and confirm with the consulate you'd actually use. The honest cons. Peru has the smallest expat infrastructure of the three. The community in Lima exists, but it's smaller and less organized than Medellin's. You'll do more of the work of finding your people. And flights from most cities require a connection unless you're leaving from Miami or Houston. Price alone doesn't tell you where your money goes furthest. So here's the quality-adjusted view. On healthcare, Colombia leads. Accredited hospitals, the highest density of specialists. Peru is second. Solid private care at a lower price per visit. Ecuador is third. Fine for standard needs, fewer subspecialty options. Managing a complex condition, Medellin is the one. On safety, Lima's Miraflores and San Isidro rank among the safest urban districts in Latin America. Cuenca is second. Though Ecuador's national picture has worsened in recent years, and Cuenca has stayed relatively insulated rather than untouched. Medellin is third. Safe where expats live, but it asks for more ongoing attention. On expat community and on English, the order is the same. Medellin, then Cuenca's expat zone, then Lima, where English shows up in restaurants but not much in daily life. And on food, Peru isn't close to the others. Colombia takes second on the strength of that climate. Ecuador is third. Beautiful, less culinary depth. Pick Ecuador if your income is at least $1,500 a month, comfortably above the new visa bar. And you want a slower colonial city pace, no currency risk, and you're fine with altitude. Pick Colombia if climate matters more than anything else. If you want the largest and best organized expat community in South America, if your income is around $1,000 a month. The visa bar is the lowest of the three. And if you want the best health care here. Pick Peru if you want the lowest ceiling, $1,000 for a comfortable couple's life on a safe coast. If food and culture matter. And if you're independent enough not to need a network waiting for you. Quickly, honestly. Ecuador, cheapest dollarized economy in the Americas. No currency risk, good private care. Against it, the visa bar jumped this year. The altitude is real, and English thins out fast. Colombia, the lowest visa bar, the best health care, the biggest expat community, a climate people move for. Against it, neighborhood selection matters, and Spanish is essential. Peru, the lowest monthly cost, world-class food, safe coastal neighborhoods, sea level. Against it, the smallest expat infrastructure and connecting flights from most of the U.S. The honest answer is all three work. There are three versions of a cheaper, richer retirement than staying put. The question is which fits your income, your health, and how you want to spend your days. If you want to go deeper, the full Medellin deep dive is already up. Neighborhoods, visa walkthrough, healthcare. The Peru breakdown lands later this week. Every video in this series has a sourced budget in the description. We don't invent numbers here. So one question. Of these three, which one surprised you most and why? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone. And if you're still in the comparing phase, subscribe. A new destination every day with the real numbers so you can make this call without flying blind.